In the December 6, 2020 edition of the Signature Show, we ran a special report titled The Rush of Kidnappings. That special report, anchored by correspondent Chibueze Obi, ended with a question: is anywhere safe in Nigeria today? President Muhammadu Buhari, in his 2021 New Year broadcast, answered that question when he admitted that insecurity was a major challenge to many states of the Nigerian nation in 2020.
The persistence of various forms of violence has meant that in the most affected parts of the country, the fabric of inter-communal harmony woven through years of investment, of effort at building trust, mutual respect, and harmony has been threatened.
President Muhammadu Buhari followed that admission that Nigerians faced the trauma of pervasive insecurity in the year 2020 with a promise to upscale government's efforts to address the challenge in 2021.
We recognize that we rapidly have to move to a more proactive and preemptive posture to ensure that these sorts of traumatic incidents do not become a norm. Our administration is fully aware of the responsibility we have to protect the lives and property of all Nigerians.
A number of Nigerians, in assessing the president's New Year broadcast, especially with regard to his promise on tackling insecurity, have argued that the president did not give any specific insight to steps the government would take to address the challenge. There are also many Nigerians who say the president's New Year speech reflected the lack of understanding and empathy with many suffering families whose lives have been ruined by insurgency, kidnapping, and banditry, the three violent crimes that accounted for the most deaths in year 2020.
The hope that was given was a lifeless one. We are not new to, to promises and, promises made. There has been lack of empathy, towards the suffering and the calamities happening around the countries. We've seen where children were abducted, where buildings, properties were destroyed. And we've seen just, little to no, empathy, towards the citizens of the country.
As a number of pundits have argued, there's nothing novel that can inspire hope in the president's New Year promise to do more to combat insecurity in Nigeria. That line is one with repetition that has not produced any tangible result. For the avoidance of doubt, it may be necessary to draw attention to the fact that while the promise of tackling insecurity is being repeated, many more Nigerian children are being orphaned, emotionally injured and maladjusted, rendered totally hopeless, if not becoming the most endangered segment of our population. As it is said, the child is the father of the man. He is the valiant youth, the scheming man, or the cunning mother of tomorrow. Every man has only one childhood, and if that childhood is blighted, made the fertile ground for planting vengeance and evening scores with the society, then the society would have prepared the objective condition for its own unraveling, to be gripped by its members who owe no allegiance to it, but only seek pounds of flesh.
If those children and the parents are not properly helped, like the insecurity content, so we end up creating more of such criminals who continue to cause havoc among our families.
Once a child grows up uncared for, you should expect that it's either he becomes, if he's not able to go to school, what do you expect him to do? If he's not able to learn the vocation, by any means, what do you expect him to do? And so you should expect it. It's not like it is natural. When the children are not cared for, you should expect nuisance in societies.
For the sake of the Nigerian child, who today seems to walk the lonely road of the grave consequence of insecurity, for the sake of the Nigerian child who suffers hunger, whose innocence is being destroyed in the IDP camps, who is growing up without the warmth of parents and siblings because their families are almost always on the run. The governments must resolve to speak realizable hope, raise realizable hope, and act realizable hope. Leadership at all levels in this country must also mobilize our collective humanity to support our government to resolve our insecurity question. The truth is that insecurity is undermining Nigeria's future and the prospect of a happy and supportive Nigerian population. Its consequences may haunt us for the next 50 years.
If we want to fight insecurity in Nigeria today, we must first of all come down to sincerity of purpose. The government and the people of Nigeria must be sincere to fight this corruption. I'll just give a very simple instance. The service chiefs that we're talking about. You know, you cannot have a democracy. You cannot have a government where tenures of some service persons have expired in the military and you keep them there.
Boots on the ground is conventional solution. Change of service chiefs is distributive politics. Blaming unpatriotic elements is nonsense and only excites the scoundrel. However, reaching Nigeria's unreached, who bear the brunt of the present situation, with development basics of water, health services, education, and even ordinary earth roads, telling Nigerians the truth of our insecurity situation. These provide believable evidence that the government cares and means well. They make up the wheel that can begin to turn the Nigerian supertanker, presently stranded in the violent sea of unending insecurity. That, indeed, should be the real promise of year 2021.